Hey, welcome to an Ardent Roleplay demo. Ardent Roleplay is an augmented reality companion app for tabletop role-playing games. We work for games like Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder. We're effectively system agnostic, and you use us really to add something new to what you're doing on the table. So what's the new that you're adding? We looked at a bunch of different pain points in tabletop role-playing games, and as game designers, gamers ourselves, and as technologists, looked at what we can address with those. The first one of these is the cost of models. We love having miniatures and models on the table, and with Ardent Roleplay, you've got a marker-based AR, which means that you've got something that you can move around the table and others can do too as well, that lets you look at what effectively looks like a 3D model on the table, even though it's not a physical model. Our recommended way of playing is that players have their phones on a little tripod on the table. That provides effectively a different window for them onto the game surface. And what we find is that that window, that device on a tripod, just disappears. When people talk about the experience of playing their game with Ardent Roleplay afterwards, they only talk about the models that were on the table, not seeing them through a screen. Now, the really nice thing is that once I've got players looking at the table through a little window, I can individualize what they see. So let's say, for example, our intrepid heroes are exploring a forest. They come and see a little hut in the distance. This is what all of them are seeing at the moment. They're all far away. One player now decides they're going to go a bit closer. So they're in front of the hut. The other player's still seeing it from far away. And that's really, the joy. It's AR, they can look around, they can check it out. The other's only still seeing, more forest than hut. Then the others come closer as well, and that first player decides to go inside. They're the only ones who can now see what's inside. They can pinch zoom, have a closer look. And they're seeing what's happening. They might find some tomes, explore, find treasure, or they might also do entirely the wrong thing and set off some trap. So from the Game Master's perspective, effectively what I'm doing is I've got a number of different encounters that I've pre-configured, just pre-set up for this particular session, and I can look through those, and each of these has a number of different states that I can show the players. So I have each individual player listed on my party list, on my player list. And in this instance, for example, I can look at the 3D model that's there. And then I can say that particular state, or if we look at that catching fire one, this particular one with the fire, I can then say turn that on or turn that off for any of the individual players. In that way, I can absolutely control who sees what at what time. So that allows me to really address that issue of metagaming and secret sharing in tabletop role-playing games. As an example, we have another type of card, or another type of model, I should say, that we refer to as a prop size model. So this is kind of not miniature scale or not a big overview scale. This is kind of something you would hand around. Hand around as a card and say, hey, check this out. So let's say our players found, or our characters found this nice amulet, and then they do their proficiency tests. So the rogue might check if there's any little poison needle traps or something like that. Someone else runs an arcana check, and let's say in that arcana check, this happens. So one player notices there's something magical about it, but only that player sees it. Because what I really love about tabletop role-playing games is the make-believe. Make-believe that magic is real. What I really hate about tabletop playing games is the make-believe. Make-believe that you didn't hear me tell the others that that's cursed. That's what we can really work with. On top of that, what we've got here is, a reveal, obviously, right? So you've done a proficiency test and you've passed it. We can also do a partial success and a full success here. So in a partial success, you've noticed that something's different. In a full success, you understand it. I can get you to understand it by sending in extra text that goes on top that explains what it is you're seeing. So in that text, I can tell you whether it's cursed, whether it has a positive effect, whether it has summoned some other creatures as an alarm, or whatever it is that you want to do. absolutely up to your choice as a GM of what you kind of add with that. And now we can do that and add to that with other things. So we can, for example, have an NPC. And that NPC could be giving a briefing, to the characters, to your players. And, they're explaining things, arms waving around, nice explanatory stuff. You can zoom in a bit. And because we can add text for individual players, we can add an overlay that explains the briefing of what that NPC is telling you. And that's another big pain point that we really wanted to address in these games is it's the start of the night. Who remembers what we did last time? In Ardent Roleplay, you can prep the little camera button, takes a snapshot. At the start of the night, you're just swiping through the photos from last time, getting that full history, that visual cues of what you did last time. And that includes taking shots of with the text, getting just action shots of things, getting shots of dragons and, miniatures lying on their side, all those kind of fun things. That, is another really big point of what we think Ardent Roleplay can do in these settings.